What is up, everybody? Hope we're all doing well. Welcome back to the channel. One of the more serious stories we have ever had to cover, and this being an ongoing investigation for the past 7 weeks, ever since early December when a Valorant Pro, a very young 16-year-old Valorant Pro for Knights, was actually accused of sexual assault. So obviously a very, very serious accusation by a former partner. Well, Knights have now done their investigation, with Riot Games still investigating the evidence which has now been put forth to them after 7 weeks. And the Knights have found, after further investigation, that the assault that he was accused of, he has been found not guilty of doing. But I want to clarify for all of you, give you the context of the prior situation and the updates we have now been given in what seems to be, at face value, what Knights have actually gone through to try and clear the name of one of their players who they are sticking with. It seems to be a great effort on their part and a great response as well in a case that seemingly, and of course probably would be for a young pro known as Frosty, who was accused of something so serious, probably a very stressful and very tough situation to be a part of. We still have not an update on whether or not he is going to be playing again for the team or exactly what his future plans are going to be, but the organization has made note that they will be sticking with him. As if you guys do remember, when these accusations first came out from a former partner of sexual assault, it was actually Frosty coming out on Twitter to say, "I saw the allegations made against me. We were in a relationship that I thought ended amicably. It saddens me to hear of this. I can assure you the sexual assault allegations are false. I will be a willing and open participant to any investigation regarding this matter." And around the same time, we had the Knights also say something very similar, as they placed him on a temporary suspension, of which he was suspended for that full 7 weeks throughout the entire investigation. Kind of unclear exactly what their steps are now moving forward. And now, over nearly a month and a half later, we have an update for all of you in a very long Knights post, as well as Frosty coming forth. He has been found not guilty, and I'm sure to a lot of his fans out there, a pretty big sigh of relief during a very serious time. As it was actually first the Knights posting, but I'm going to read you Frosty's post. As he said, "I appreciate the Knights' commitment to their values and taking allegations of sexual assault seriously. They conducted a fair and extensive outside investigation, and for that, I am grateful. While the investigation determined the allegations to be false, it did make me take a hard look at my attitude and behavior throughout my past relationship. I'm not proud of some of the things I said. I truly want to be a good person and a dedicated professional. To do that, I'm committed to learning, looking forward, and taking real steps to improve myself, particularly the way I communicate in personal relationships. I hope this community can give me the time and opportunity to mature and do better. Thank you for your support." And those words are pretty key when I'm going to read for all of you the lengthy Knights post about how this investigation is going. I want to also clarify Riot Games is still going to look through this evidence and have made note that it might be Frosty still open to future punishment, but the Knights have found him not guilty of the obvious serious allegation, which he touches on, saying that apparently his attitude and some of the things he said were disrespectful and were inappropriate. And so Knights also mentioned that in their post. But the main part being here, he's been found guilty of the very serious accusation. And, you know, for my take on this, when you have two young people in a relationship, I'm sure you can say a lot of things that you will regret. But the biggest takeaway here is, for the big accusation, he's been cleared, and I mean, that's huge. But here's what Knights had to say. As they stated in their very lengthy post, late on the evening of Saturday, December 4th, 2021, an accusation of sexual assault was made against our player known as Frosty. We took the allegation very seriously, as we believe sexual assault to be a grave matter. We wanted a clear and unbiased examination of this matter and quickly decided to hire a third-party investigator to thoroughly look into the allegation. We began reaching out to potential firms on Sunday, the day after the 5th, and by Monday, December 6th, we finalized our search, and the firm we hired kicked off the official investigation. The player was immediately suspended from tournament competition at the outset of this investigation for 4 weeks, and subsequently another 3 weeks as the investigation continued. The third-party investigator we contracted was a law firm of Dickey, McCamey, and Chilcote. The lead lawyer on the investigation previously served as an assistant district attorney in Allegheny County, Pennsylvania. In that role, they prosecuted thousands of cases, including sexual assaults with adult and minor victims. They have worked with many child and adult victims, as well as received training in interviewing victims and prosecuting sexual assault cases. So pretty much laying the floor that they used an outside third-party investigator, and a accredited one at that, at dealing with these kind of cases. Is a great post so far. At length, very descriptive, and it really gives a lot of context as to the very serious situation. They continued, the investigator exchanged multiple emails with both parties and conducted a number of FaceTime interviews, including 2 with our player and 2 with the accuser. They also reviewed over 700 text messages, tweets, DMs, and photos from both the accuser and the player, totaling nearly 90 pages of evidence. The assault was alleged to have taken place on July 26, 2021. At that time, both parties were minors, and the player had not yet been signed to the Knights. In the investigator's final report, they stated it is the opinion of this investigator that the player did not commit an assault. However, the report did uncover evidence that some of the player's conduct, while unrelated to the allegation of sexual assault, was inappropriate, disrespectful, and fell below the standard of conduct that the Knights require of players in its organization. Even though the behavior occurred before the player was signed with the Knights, it would be a mistake to ignore it. Riot is still reviewing the results of the third-party investigation and noted the player may still be subject to future punishment. And they also go on to say how they're committed to this player, that being Frosty, to see him grow and learn from this mistake. And there you have it. A very serious story, again, involving a very, very young Valorant Pro out there and a very serious accusation he has been found not guilty of, but apparently some other wrongdoings in this when it comes to his attitude and the way he conducted himself in his prior relationship, and maybe some things were said, some things were done that were inappropriate, and thus it is now going to be up to Riot to deem if there is a punishment in the future. But the main accusation he has been found not guilty of, and that's got to be some good news for him. And I want to give a lot of credit to Knights for going through with this entire thing in the fashion they did. It's very not so often, I should say, that we see a response like this, an investigation this thorough and this fast throughout, and a very lengthy process that ends with some good news for a Valorant Pro player, and maybe some not so good news in terms of learning and growing up and actually having to learn how to conduct yourself as well around these subjects. This is definitely going to be a very I would say a very controversial story, a very intense one with a lot of people probably thinking a lot of things out there. But what do you guys think about this one? Knights have now found their player not guilty of a very serious accusation and have cleared those things up. It is now Riot to make the next statement. It's now up to them. So till next time, do me a favor, all right? Drink water, drink coffee. I'll catch you back here sometime soon. Take care of yourselves.